Hi YouTube. I'm here to talk about fin rot and what it is and how to treat it. First I'm going to talk about exactly what fin rot is. Basically, it's a bacteria that grows in your tank and starts eating away at your beta's fins. And the way you can tell if your beta has this is on darker colored betas, they're going to start to have black tips on the ends of their fins, and they're going to start looking tattered and frayed. That goes for both dark and light colored betas. On light colored betas, the tips of the fins are going to start looking red. And so basically what you want to do when you start noticing these signs is first do a water change, because the reason that fin rot comes about is from, like I said, bacteria in the water, and that comes from basically just dirty water that's not being filtered, that's not being cleaned often enough. Overfeeding a lot of the time contributes to it, because the extra food sits in there and just makes the water dirty. Another contributor to your fish contracting this and being susceptible to the bacteria is if they're feeling stressed. So if they're in a tank that's too small for them, or if they're cold, if the water is not heated, because betas like tropical warm waters. So their immune system is the strongest in obviously clean water and warm water. So what to do when your beta contracts fin rot? When my beta first got fin rot about a month ago, was the first round of it, I started using Beta Fix, because a lot of people online were saying that this worked. But it did not work for me. I went about 4 days with using it, and it did nothing. The fin rot just got worse. And the Beta Fix also made my water extremely cloudy. So I did some more research and found out that people are using aquarium salt. And basically what aquarium salt does is it improves the gill function, adds electrolytes, and also like salt naturally does, it sterilizes the water and kills bacteria. So at first, I just did what the directions say on here, which is, that's the Spanish side, which is 1 tablespoon for every 5 gallons or a half teaspoon for every 1 gallon. I have a 3.7 gallon tank here, so I just round it to 4 for treatment purposes. So I started doing this half teaspoon for every gallon. That wasn't working for me. The fin rot just kept getting worse. I wasn't seeing any improvement at all. So I did some more research and found out that you can do different levels or amounts of salt depending on the severity of the fin rot. So I increased the dosage to 2 teaspoons per gallon, and that was the level for moderate fin rot, because at this point the fins were starting to tear more rapidly. So I started doing that. I did that for 10 days, which was the recommended length for treatment, because any longer than that in one time can do some organ damage. So after 10 days, the fin rot had stopped, and I was already starting to see some fin regrowth, which was really, really good. Basically what you're going to do is, or what I did was I did a 100% water change, added in the appropriate amount of salt, and of course your water conditioner, which makes the tap water safe. I use API Stress Coat. It makes the tap water safe, and it also as a slime layer, which is not only really important for regrowing the fins, but just makes them a bit more comfortable in the water. So you're going to do that, and then you're going to add in your salt, and make sure when you add in the salt, it's fully dissolved, because if you just drop it in the tank, the salt can burn them if it's not completely dissolved. So what I did was I put most of the water into the tank, and then I mixed the amount of salt that I needed for the entire tank in a separate container, and then dumped that water into the tank after it was completely dissolved. I let it circulate a little bit so that it got mixed in well, then put my Betta in. And then the next day I did a 50% water change. And make sure when you're doing partial water changes that you're only re-adding the amount of salt that you took out, because the salt does not evaporate from the water. It doesn't get filtered out or anything. It remains in there as long as you don't remove the water. Right now my Betta has fin rot again because I had a really bad filter, and now I just replaced it about 5 days ago with the Tetra Whisper, and it's an air pump and a filter, and it's seems to be doing really good, keeping the water crystal clear. And as you can see, my Betta still has some tears in his fins, but there's also quite a bit of regrowth happening. You can see on his top fin, and also on the bigger tears in his tail fin, there's a little tiny bit of clear tissue starting to grow back. So yeah, it's only 4 days into this round, and he's already getting better. So this combination really works for me. I hope it works for you guys. And if it doesn't, if it keeps getting worse, you want to get a real fish antibiotic. Do some research. I know Canaplex is one of them. The Maricin series people recommend, however that isn't being sold anymore, but you can find off-brand Maricin and things like that. So but you just want to make sure that you do treat this. Don't let it go, because it will turn into body rot, which will eventually kill them. So yeah, so just make sure you treat this. But as long as you keep the water clean, do the treatment, things like that, you should be good to go. So thanks for watching, and good luck treating your fish's fin rot. Hope this helps.